Hello, I am Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are TwinFinity.
We are twin flames in union who are sharing our 20-year journey through a series of videos. And this is now video number 8. And the title of this one is The Roller Coaster. Lots of you will be able to relate to this one. But before we get into that, Rob's going to do a quick recap of last week.
Last week, Angie went in for an introductory Reiki session, and she saw an angel that night. Later on, she had also had an intense flashback when we were together, where she again saw her angel. And also, I was starting into a very intense time at work, which brought out my ever-present drill sergeant, with Angie going one direction, deep into spirituality, and me dropping deep into 3D so I could find my way through a heavy work time. We were going in opposite directions.
Yes.
Today, we are broadcasting from a sitting room off the side of our master bedroom. Way too much information. Continuing on, I've got on my nice comfy blue, it's my around house shirt, but it's become my video shirt, so I always wear this for videos. And I've got on my work glasses instead of my regular glasses, but, well, okay, now I got something else to concentrate on. Which glasses am I going to wear for videos? Okay.
You're funny.
Things don't change after 20 years, people. No. Okay.
So I wanted to just say a little bit more about where we are and why we picked this location. I know we're funny. It's like become a little game of where are we doing our video this week? We wanted to do this one in our bedroom, not because it's our bedroom, but because, as you can see behind us, there's angels back there floating up in the sky. Quick little story about those angels. They have been in my life almost as long as Rob. I'll maybe tell a story about them sometime down the road. But I also wanted to mention those roses in the background. Those were not initially part of the plan. It's very odd that Rob comes home before me. I'm almost always home before him. I came home later than him tonight, and he had flowers for me. Just for no reason, just because, which was incredibly nice. So they had to be in the video. I couldn't not have them in our video. Yay! Thank you.
You're welcome.
So how sweet. So roses were important to be in our video too. So we're going to get started on the roller coaster. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is where the fun starts to begin. I know a lot of you in the Facebook groups I read about, you talk about the term roller coaster. You talk about the frustration of it. We get it. We've lived it.
We've been there.
More than once.
Seemed like all the time, starting about now in our story.
Yes. So where we last left off was September 30th when we had, no, it was badminton. I was going to say it was climbing the mountain, but it was badminton, the drill sergeant night where Rob was really intense and I didn't end up going to badminton. So we were already on like rocky terms from that. So I'm going to read again from my journal, where I'm talking about how things have shifted again and things are better between us. So this is now October 8th, just a couple days after the whole badminton, I guess about a week after the badminton experience. The bad badminton experience.
The bad badminton. There's a few good badmintons. That's way too confusing.
Yes, it is. So I said, Rob and I are doing a whole lot better. He's a little less stressed about work, and I'm a whole lot more stable this week. I like how I wrote this week, because it was day by day. Stable, not stable, up, down, roller coaster. So, I'm a little more stable this week, and we're back on track. It feels good. We're going to do very well. We made it through the tough time in the last couple of weeks. Actually, more like the last couple of months since we met. We're working out all the rough spots now, my past and feelings around it all, and us, so we can enjoy later. Yeah, we just didn't know later
was so much later.
Yeah.
We're doing better now. We've had 2 months together. Yeah, we thought we had that licked.
Oh, yeah. So I'm writing, I've noticed a change in me. I'm more giving to Rob and others. I'm feeling more love towards Rob again. I'm more playful and nurturing, and my giving side is coming back, and I'm enjoying it. So things are on the upswing. After the last time we shared, things are moving in the right direction, and we're doing well. Not to say that lasted very long. Now we move into some struggles. This is now October 14th. So again, just, what, a week later?
A week later. Week to week.
Yeah. Poor Rob. I wrote, I was over at Rob's and had another flashback. I was very present for about 10 minutes, and then I was gone and out of my body. Poor Rob. He's like, talk to me. But I couldn't. I wasn't there. I started to cry, and Rob said he noticed me leaving my body. Another rough time for us both. So we talked about it, and I felt so bad for Rob. I hate putting him through this, and it's really hard on him seeing me go through the pain. I keep reassuring him, though, that it is helping. He worries that it's harming me more than helping. It isn't, though. I hate the actual flashback. But after, I feel better, always. And I feel a little lighter and more present and alive and able to feel Rob's love for me and my love for him. I am healing.
And in the meanwhile, though, I'm still in an intense time of work. October 31st is where everything is crunch day. It's my physical inventory, where we count all the parts that I look after at work. And when I'm getting together with Angie, it's for an hour at a time or maybe 2 hours at a time, and I want to get together and talk or have some fun. And it seems like whenever we're getting together, there's always this wrong or the wrong mood or a flashback is happening. And I have to admit, I was getting impatient. I needed patience. I was exercising patience, but in the inside of me, I'm going, how come seeing me every time just blows up Angie?
Yeah.
I'm starting to detect I am not healthy for Angie. I'm really starting to question whether or not this whole thing is going to go in any direction that's going to be good for her. My first marriage I had lost because I felt that I was a bad influence on somebody, so I allowed it to slip away. And I was starting to get my own little flashbacks of why am I in a relationship that looks like it's in a repetitious pattern to my past. I'm starting to question what's going on.
That's a good point. I never really realized that before. Wow, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I was being triggered so much. And of course, you don't understand at the time that the trigger is meant for your benefit. I mean, I even wrote, yes, every time I went through it, it was healing. It was beneficial, but it was hard. And of course, he can't see the benefit yet. He can't see that I'm feeling better after each time. So he's thinking, oh my God, if I'm triggering this poor girl this much, maybe I should just let her go.
I just feel like I'm losing hours of good communication.
Yeah.
Whatever that is anymore.
Yeah, don't even know anymore because we're just going through so many challenges. So, referencing that same night, I wrote a little bit more about it. I said, after that night, I was distant with Rob and debated even sleeping with him for the night. We had talked about how Saturday night affected him. It really hurt him to see and feel me so distant. We talked about how he was doing with it all, and he said not well. He was really distressed, and it was hard, and it hurt to hear and see him so hurt. I hate what this is doing to him. So even I was feeling the stress of all of this. I felt bad for all the challenges that I was putting him through. I mean, it certainly wasn't my intent to go through flashbacks. As you know, healing happens when healing happens. It's not like we have control over it sometimes. It's just the triggers hit and you're there.
And also, through this whole bit, Angie's going through an intense spiritual growth too, and this is what's triggering the flashbacks. I'm blaming me. She's growing though, but I had never been with anybody before who was going through this much spiritual growth in a short amount of time. This was all new to me. I really did not know what I was seeing. It just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah. So I'm still then talking about how this experience has affected us. I wrote, then the other night, I was not feeling especially cuddly. In talking with Rob last night, he mentioned that he had spooned me, but I didn't respond or snuggle into him. I'm back to feeling distant and not very loving. All Sunday I was very loving and felt so much love for Rob. Up, then I'm back down. Roller coaster? Oh yeah.
I'm all along for the ride. Hang on.
So I said, I'm back to feeling barely anything for him. It's so frustrating and annoying. I want to feel his love and feel love for him. And I want to be able to express my love, but not the pain and dissociate and numb. I want to live in the present and enjoy his love. I'm tired of the past affecting my present life. All yesterday I was tired and angry and just not here. Last night for date night, Rob and I went pawn shopping for CDs. I tried to be present and kind and loving, but as always, he picked up on my lack of presence and preoccupation. He's always been gifted at reading me. And again, twin flame, right? They're the same energy, so of course they recognize you. But you've always had that skill of knowing me better than me sometimes.
I'm not bad at reading people in general.
Yeah.
I'm being involved in the hiring and firing process at work. You learn to read people if you don't have a natural inclination already. And with Angie, usually I could see it or feel it at some level as soon as we would even either talk on the phone or especially in each other's presence. It would take me just seconds to have a good idea where she was at.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah, so I wrote, but as always, he picked up on my lack of presence and my preoccupation. We talked more last night at home, and then I came home alone. We both agreed we needed to spend the night alone.
That's hard. That's a hard thing to agree to when
Yeah.
you're with someone who you really love and adore, in spite of all struggles.
Yes.
Hi, let's just spend the night alone. Oh, I must have been really frustrated. That's not something I would normally choose to do.
Well, and you were honoring me because I was just not in a place where I could be present. So you were allowing me a night alone, and I hope you don't mind. I'm flipping because I'm trying to find where I... Oh, yes, here we go. I think this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not it. I lost my page. Here we go. So yes, we're now spending the night alone. We were spending most of our nights together. Most of the time we were at your apartment because you're the one that was working. I was still...
It's where my alarm clock was.
Yeah.
Not that we had a cell phone that did alarm clocks back then.
Not back then, no. This is the olden days.
Real alarm clocks, like get up, go over, shut it off. No snooze allowed or else I'd never get there.
Yeah. So we had chosen to spend the night apart. Mainly it was my choice and Rob honored it. I was just not feeling like I wanted to be around. Not just him, but anybody. And of course, you know, understanding the dynamic for your own situation, when your twin pulls away, it's usually, most of the time, not even about you. It's their own stuff being triggered, just like it was for me. I was just feeling overloaded again, feeling overwhelmed, just had so many emotions in me, and I didn't know how to process them then. I didn't know what to do with them. So the only reason, or the only thing I knew how to do was pull away. So I said I needed distance, but I slept horribly and I tossed and turned with lots of dreams that I don't remember. I woke feeling very tired, but got up to work for Elizabeth. This was the Reiki lady that I had met, and I was now working as her assistant in trade for her, teaching me Reiki. So I was getting up to at least go to work with her, even though I felt distant. I was honoring my need to go to work. And I said I did call Rob this AM just to be in touch. We had agreed that he would give me space and let me contact him, which I appreciated and need right now. It's been another day of blah and tiredness. So what a wonderful person. Here he is. He's just trying to have a stable relationship, especially because he's in his hardest time of work and needs to focus his energies on work. But I'm up, I'm down, I'm in, I'm out. And he's so kind that he's just like, okay, you need space, I'll give you your space. He didn't want to give me space. He wanted to be his nurtury, cuddly self. But he did what he needed to do for me. Very nice. Rob's like,
Ugh.
the pain.
Sometimes it's hard to relive these memories. I'm sitting here a little bit tongue-tied, which is very hard for me because normally I could just talk forever.
Yeah, you're a talker.
But I'm listening to her say this, and again, very little of this has been rehearsed, and it's bringing back my own memories of how difficult this was to just sit back and watch.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch a frog in a blender.
Oh, that's a sad way to put it. Oh. So, we've been talking a lot in our relationship at this point about the sexual abuse and how it's affected me. And from one day I'm good, the next day I'm bad. as you know from our previous videos, we talked a lot. Communication was always number one in our life. So this was the focus of most of our communication. And this was now Sunday, October 19th. And again, just to reiterate, this is all in 1997. We met in July of 1997, and now we're in October. We had gone to the mountains for the day because it was a Sunday. That was what we typically did, and funny enough, that's still what we typically do. Mountains are our Sunday thing to do. But when we had come back, Rob had to go to work. He's so much in his intense season of work, he's now working on a Sunday.
When there's nobody else there. That way I can concentrate. Well, nobody else except for Angie.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this time of his busy season of work, he was working 6 days a week, but now he was even going in on the 7th day. So you can imagine he's stressed, he's tense, he's tired. And we're having this conversation while he's working. I'm sitting on the opposite side of the desk, and we're having this conversation about the fact of, wait a second, he's starting to say, okay, this sexual abuse stuff is yours, and you know, like, we need to get through this. And I'm starting to say, hey, no, you've attracted me into your life for a reason. So this isn't just my issue. You obviously have your own issues to deal with, because like attracts like. I hadn't even started learning Reiki yet, but the lady that I was going to be learning Reiki from was teaching other courses that I was involved in, and one was called A Course in Creation. So I was learning all these things, not only through her, but all the books that I was reading, that we attract everything into our lives. Everything is our own creation. So I was now putting on this new stuff to Rob and going, hey, you've attracted me for a reason.
I was totally in no understanding of this concept. Nowadays, a lot more. Totally see it. But back then, I was not ready to take on anybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
Not quite realizing that sometimes that's how things happen, and that's why it happens. But I could not take any responsibility at this time. It was just another stress that I didn't know how to channel.
And two, we're at his work. He's trying to work, and we're having this deep conversation.
I'm number crunching.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a bit about this conversation we're having at his work. So actually, at this point, we had agreed, we were getting really frustrated with each other. So we had agreed, you work, I'll write. At that point in my life, my journal went everywhere with me. It just was like my coping tool, so it was always with me. So I had my journal, and I was like, okay, fine, you're here to work. We can't talk. We're getting too frustrated. We're going to start arguing. So I'm just going to write. So I said, I'm feeling very frustrated right now. Rob and I have been discussing a bunch of stuff, as we have in the past few days. So again, this conversation's been coming up a lot. We've been dealing a lot with the sexual abuse, but finally we have come to the conclusion that it's not just my stuff. Rob is as much a part of this as I am. I made a comment this morning to him that he obviously has some growing to do because he chose me and attracted me as much as I did him. Yeah, like, it's not all my fault.
Representing myself back then? No, not really, but if you insist.
So I said, our soul chooses to find someone whom it can grow, work, and change and evolve with. Rob didn't get it at first. He figured he was fine the way he was. In other words, I'm all good. I got no issues. It's all your stuff. No. So I said, I made the statement to Rob that he attracts survivors.
That's a bit of a truth. Continue, please.
He's like, let's not talk about that.
Next.
He agreed right on the spot, which I was very surprised with. He started reviewing all of his female friends and past relationships and noticed that, yeah, they all have survivor issues. Trust, intimacy, power, authority figures, testing, barriers, abandonment, etc. All the same crap I was going through, he's faced with other women. Maybe not to the same level.
There is no same level. This is all new. Brand new.
Yeah, this is all. You've never had somebody as difficult and challenging as me.
I'm glad she chose those words.
I can admit my faults. So I'm writing all about how frustrating it is that, like, we're seeing that, he does have an issue that he attracts these kind of women.
There's patterns, and patterns, well, if a pattern goes around one person numerous times, the person attracts the pattern. I couldn't argue that.
Yeah. So I was writing, I saw some light bulbs go off in his head.
We won't talk about light bulbs.
He kept bringing up the topic to go back and talk about it when we'd get off track. And he finally started to clue in that this is more than just about me and my stuff. The problems we're having in our relationship are about us. He's got his own issues that he brings to the relationship as much as I do. He's not Mr. Perfect, but close. I didn't write that.
Still working on it.
I was mad.
We'll never get there.
You're Mr. Perfect when you bring roses home.
Okay. I'm Mr. Perfect for at least 7 minutes.
No, I lost my train of thought thinking about how perfect you are. Thank you. So he's not Mr. Perfect while I'm the one with all the problems, and that I have to do the work. He's starting to see a pattern of his own past. He's asking why he attracts survivors. He likes to nurture and help people grow, but then he either gets bored because they don't grow, or they grow and change, and then he feels like he's helped them and can move on. So he's never had an equal partnership, because he's always been the fixer, strong helper, father figure, or big brother. So he is starting to see that this is an us thing, not a me thing. I'm a lot worried about us. We have a lot of work to do if we are going to.
Then I stopped writing. She stops writing.
Yes. So it's interesting I'll share in a moment what I was going to write, but it's interesting that things changed at that very moment. I didn't even get to say what I was going to say. And then everything changed.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, read. I just wanted to explain about the roller coaster. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. Now we're on another down. But it's going to go back up in a very quick second.
In a blink of an eye.
Yes. So I wrote, I didn't even finish my thought of being worried that Rob and I were not going to make it. That's what I was going to say. When Rob looked at me and started to talk. I don't even remember what was said, but all of a sudden we were staring at each other with total love, and we could both feel the energy exchange. It was amazing. And it was. Do you remember that?
I totally remember that. I love this portion of the story. That's why I wanted to read it. Because something was going on in that office. There was more than just us there, and I had never felt an energy like this before.
Yeah. So here we go from like feeling so annoyed with each other that we can't even speak. And he's working and I'm writing about we're not even going to make it by the looks of things. And then it's all transformed. So all of a sudden we're staring at each other with total love, and we could feel the energy exchange. It was amazing. I felt love again, not just thought it. I had tears in my eyes and rolling down my face. Then we hugged and transferred even more love energy. I saw angels all around the room, and I could feel their happiness that Rob and I were back together. Now there's more, but I wanted to just stop and say, the angels back there, that's why we had to have this up here, because this is what it was like. He was on one side of the desk, I was on the other, and behind him is where I could see it was covered with angels. Like there was not a spot that was without an angel.
Now, I did not see any of this, but I could feel something. There was, I would just call it a calming energy. That's as good as I can feel. I'm maybe not as advanced as others, but I keep worrying about that, but I don't. I could feel them, and it was new, absolutely new to me. But there was something going on that caused me to have a great amount of calmness. I couldn't work anymore. I wasn't nervous. It was like putting on a comforter that it was nice and warm when you're just 1 degree too cold. It was really, really soothing.
It was soothing, but the intensity of the love was just, it was overwhelming, at least for me. But I think you were crying too.
Oh yeah, it was.
It just hit us like a ton of bricks.
It was
in a beautiful way.
The energy seemed to be channeling through Angie, and it was nice to feel that after all the strife we'd had, even up till just a few seconds before that.
Yeah. So I gotta learn to mark where I leave off when I start talking, because then I gotta find myself again. Oh yes, here we are. We've been so emotionally distant from one another lately, and I could see one angel in particular. I laughed because he was funny. He was so floating above us and behind Rob's desk, lying down and chewing a stir stick. He had a really funny attitude about him, like, yeah, I'm good. I did all the work to get you guys back together. And this angel, I mean, I was new at this whole angel thing. I think this might have been just my second experience with seeing angels. This was all still really new. But this character comes up later. He's strangest angel I've ever seen. He did not look like what you think of an angel. He looked more like a leprechaun kind of guy, but really funny. So he's all proud of himself, trying to brag and say he's the one out of all the angels that got us back together. He knew all the angels worked together, but he was having fun just being silly. It was really funny. Then Rob got the verbal message from the spiritual beings. He said he couldn't tell me then, but he would later. I marveled over how he gets verbal feedback from the angels in spirit world, and I get visual feedback. It's neat. He's there with me on this spiritual path. So here I am first doubting, oh, we're not meant for each other anymore. This is going nowhere. And then all of a sudden I'm feeling, okay, apparently we are. And like you shared about, I see stuff, but you feel it.
I feel it. I feel it to the point that I almost like I gain knowledge. I suppose you could call it downloads. When I was saying that I had like a verbal thought or a verbal message, it's because I all of a sudden had these thoughts that would come to me in words.
Yes. So that was our next roller coaster. Now we're back on the upswing. We've gone up, we've gone down, we've gone all over the place.
And all of a sudden, a bit of affirmation. Actually, a lot of affirmation. More affirmation than some people ever get, all in one little bit.
Yeah.
I guess that's us.
So I wrote a little bit more about that experience later. I said that was a big healing realization. I felt so connected with Rob and realized how distant we've been and how much I truly did miss him. So we were, pulling apart so much in our struggles of his work, my angel experiences, my spiritual growth, all the healing I was doing. We were really pulling apart from each other. I mean, I was wanting to not spend nights with him anymore and feeling distant, and this experience just pulled us back together.
I probably had been stuck in 3D world for, 3 weeks by then, pretty much. Even
a
little bit before
September.
The badminton night that didn't go well, and now we're 2 to 3 weeks in the future, and then, bam, right back into 5D again. I'm having my own whiplash, my own roller coasters. I'm having a little bit of trouble sorting and filing myself. But, the off again, on again. And we realize that some people are on again, off again strictly in 3D land. Some people are on and off again in 5D land, or a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
We can only describe where we were and what's happening to us, knowing that a lot of you will recognize in some form or another the same patterns.
Yeah, we've been there. This last little piece I wanted to write because, again, I love that even though we didn't know we were twin flames, we didn't know this understanding of a dynamic, we still went through everything that you guys are going through. We've still gone through all the stages to the point that I even have the words in my journal. I wrote the words roller coaster in my journal. So I said, I've been feeling so cerebral lately because I don't want to feel the feelings. I'm sure some of you can relate. We'll do anything to escape the feelings sometimes. That's where the runners come in and the chasers. The chasers are busy chasing because they don't want to face their own stuff. We've been there. So I was not wanting to feel the feelings, but realizing that I need to feel them and it's okay to feel them. And I said, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster.
That's underlined.
Yes, it is. I am going through an extreme amount of changes and a lot of emotional changes as well. So I was just feeling up and down. I was at least recognizing where I was. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I had no clue that I was being so together and then so apart and being so kind to Rob and then being mean to him. Now, the being mean is not written in my journal because I didn't recognize it back then that I was. But this is where a lot of the meanness even started, because when I was in my distant phases, I would get mean. I would do cruel or say cruel things is what I would do. I would say fighting, biting, mean words to him as a way to push him away. So that is the roller coaster. Welcome to our crazy life. So we've ended on a beautiful bright note of angels bringing us back together, and life is back in La La Land almost to the day like what we met. It was all magical and loving, and
just got more affirmation that we were doing the right thing.
Yeah, we're on the right path, and we should be together.
Affirmation, at least for that week.
Yes. Good point, because next week...
Anyway, are we done?
I think we're done.
We are done for another week.
Yes. So we will say goodnight. And remember, as always, to connect with your twin, go within. We love you guys. We'll see you in a little while.
Good night.